you said it was a 3-second countdown, but we are live now.
I don't know what I'm talking about, dude.
False information everywhere, fake news. This is long time coming. We have been on hiatus here for 2 years. It's been 2 years since the last episode. We'll call this "We Are Everywhere" podcast 2.0. This is
Sick.
the Oxy and whale call version of.
I was just gonna say every good band needs a good hiatus, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I
So
found true.
I wanted to start off 2.0 of this podcast with an excellent guest. All of the guests are excellent, but someone that's also in the podcasting ring. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Cam Herdt, the host of the Best Show Ever podcast. How we doing, Cam?
Great, dude. It's a beautiful Saturday morning in the Bay. So I got my cup of coffee. I'm ready to chat.
Oh, dude, you a big Bev guy?
I got multiple bevs in front of me right now. You know it's
Dude.
not a morning unless I got three bevs in front of me.
Okay, so we both got coffee. I've got 3 in front of me as well, and then I've also got Thirst Mutilator by Shorts. Have you heard of this?
Yeah,
Billy
dude.
Strings, uh, water.
Little plug for the Thirst Mutilator.
Yeah, yeah.
You held
What's
it
up,
up so
Shorts?
perfect.
What up? What up, Shorts? Just letting you know, man. We're out here. We're out here slinging it. And then I just got the
Yeah.
OG normal water. What do you got?
Keep the Nalgene by you. I got a glass of water, and then I kind of knocked down an orange juice over here. That's pretty much done. So
OJ. Okay.
just trying
Oh,
to keep, trying to stay healthy, man. Trying not to get sick out here, you know?
vitamin C, baby. Okay. So I would. You said in the Bay. So you're in California?
Yeah, I moved from from Chicago to LA in fall of 21, to do the comedy acting thing proper, and
Yeah.
really dive in. Um, and my girlfriend is a travel nurse, and we were living together in LA. And she took a couple contracts while we were in LA that were outside of the city, but she took one in Oakland over the summer last summer. And I was like, you know what? I'm coming with up to the Bay. And so I've been up here for the last like 7, 8 months.
Nice. How
It's
you
been
liking
great,
it?
man. Dude, I love it up here. It's
Love
so
it?
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so much more like Chicago than LA is. You know, like just like the people, the like big sports fans up here. You know, like the first year I lived in LA, the Rams won the Super Bowl, and I remember like the next day you couldn't even tell. I was like, I'm like, what? I'm like from Chicago. Like, they shut the city down for a week
Yeah.
if we win something because we never do. Uh,
Yeah, dude. It's just
so
normal.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
like, yeah.
like, yeah, and like so there's just there's so many cool venues up here. There's so many cool like things to do in the city, and then like Jess and I are big hiking national park people, so you can get out to Yosemite easy and all that. Yeah, we love it up here, dude. It's great.
Outdoorsy. I like it.
Yeah, dude.
That's awesome. So originally from Chicago, though. That's cool.
Yeah,
So
man.
I'm like 2.5 hours away from Chicago. I'm
Okay.
in Holland, Michigan.
Yeah.
So yeah, not just right down the dip there. That's cool. Um, I want to talk about real quick before we get into your fish story of how I came across you. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to relate to this, that are in the fish scene, or I guess even in just the jam band scene. This is back, before the hiatus with the podcast. I came across one of your videos on social media that went viral of you kind of like poking at the scene. I can't remember if it was like the scene or if it was like after your first Fish show and like you're going through
Oh
like
yeah.
all the stereotypical shit that
That
Fish
might have been the
fans do.
first one, dude. Like that was like the first one or two of the Fish videos for sure. Yeah.
Dude, it cracked me up because it was so accurate and just like the way that you were like putting it on, and I was like, oh dude, this dude's funny as shit. And then a little while after that, I was like, oh shit, you were talking about launching the podcast. I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's the same dude. And that's whenever I kind of like started really like following you and like seeing like what you were doing and what you were about. So Before we get into like the questions and hearing your story, I want you to talk about how you came about doing the podcast that you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
how did it start? I know you're with or on Osiris, so like, I guess like what sparked that? Was it just you like, hey, I want to start a podcast, or what?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I listened to a ton of those Osiris podcasts, especially through my time living in Chicago and working desk jobs, and then losing those desk jobs because I wasn't doing a good job because I was listening to Phish podcasts all the time. But but I would listen to Helping Friendly podcast and the the Long Road series they did too about Big Cypress and No Simple Road and a bunch of other podcasts. But I like really when my brother and I would go to shows, we're both pretty young looking dudes as it is right now. So like 8 years ago, we looked even younger, and like it's usually just us two going to Phish shows or dead adjacent shows, and feels like we would always end up like making friends with some group of older heads next to us at set break, and we would just end up talking to them about stories back in the day. Like let her rip, dude. Any of these older heads that you're sitting next to at a show, like they want to tell their story, and so
Right.
and it always ended up getting down to like, well, what's the best Dead show you ever saw? What's the best Phish show you ever saw? And we would just get these crazy. I mean, obviously, sometimes it's Big Cypress or some major set list show, but sometimes it's like, yeah, I met my wife and we spent the whole night together, and then now we've been together for 45 years, or like there's all these like crazy stories, and so I always was like, man, that'd be great to start talking to some people and put some of these moments in a bottle, like put them in the can forever. And so yeah, like when the videos kind of started popping off a little bit, and like I knew that there was at least an audience potentially that would be down to listen to that, I was like, let's pitch it to RJ, and then let's put out like 8 episodes and see how it goes. And
Mhm.
then I haven't stopped. I've been really enjoying getting better at it, messing with all the different aspects of it. I'm sure that's part of it for you too. It's just really fun to kind of like hone
Yeah.
it, get better at it, you know, find
Yeah.
guests, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think the coolest part is, and that's what I think we're gonna mesh on here. The common similarity is just getting to hear other people's stories. Because like whenever you're launching a podcast, like you want it to be niche, but you don't want it to be too niche, or you're gonna like run out of content. And within this community, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of just normal people that love this same weird quirky music that we love,
Yeah.
that have crazy stories, like just walking down the street, like you would have no idea, but these dudes, like you said, putting them in a bottle and like putting it out there. I
Yeah.
just love hearing all these stories and like hearing crazy things from the road, and like just hearing how people got into this weird cult that we're all in. you know
Yeah, dude. I mean, obviously, it's super cool to like interview someone that is like a name. If they're like in a band that people know or
right.
something like that. But every once in a while, I'll be talking to someone and they'll be like, "Oh man, you need to get like Billy Strings on or someone like that." I'm like, "Yeah, but you should like listen to some of the people who have." I had them on because they got a crazy story. Like if
Right. Just
and some of
normal.
those
Yeah.
stories are great. Yeah.
Yeah. They're all great. I mean, and every one of them is unique. And so, yeah, transitioning into your story, um, how, when, and where, and how did you first hear and discover Fish?
Well, Phish, I started like listening to Phish and getting it through osmosis when I was super young, probably like 11 or 12. My parents owned a restaurant. We moved up, they owned a restaurant in Chicago that franchised, and we moved up to Wisconsin when I was like 8. And my older brother, Kellen, he's 10 years older than me, and all of his buddies that worked in the kitchen were like massive, massive Phish guys, huge wooks, like, and whether it was like playing in the kitchen while we were prepping or like it was blasting out of their cars when they were delivering pizzas, like they were listening to Phish, and they were always kind of like grilling me on like, when you're like 11, 12, you're starting to find your own music,
Yeah.
like not listening to my dad's music all the time in the car. Now I'm starting to find like Blink 182 and shit like
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
when you're that age. And those guys would just roast the shit out of me for it. They're like, dude, what are you listening to? Like, you have to listen to this. And that was also like in a golden age of LimeWire. And
Oh
so,
yeah, dude.
yeah, dude. And they would just be like, go home. They're like, what song did you like today? And I was like, I liked Tweezer, or I liked Bathtub Gin, or I liked Susie Greenberg. And they'd be like, all right, go home and like download all of 97 and then find all the shows that have, because you could just download like a full year on
Yeah.
LimeWire, and find all the shows that have Susie Greenberg in it, and then listen to like how they play into it and play out of it, or like if it says Susie Greenberg multiple times in a set, like listen to the whole thing and like how they play into it and out of it. And I already, like, from listening to my dad's music, he likes the Allman Brothers and Pink Floyd and Zappa and Yes and Rush and like a bunch of shit that is weird and conceptual and like weird for a 12-year-old for sure. And so I was already down. Like, I was super down. But it was like a very personal, listening thing. Like, none of my friends were interested, like not even remotely interested. Even my friends who had weird taste in stuff and liked fringy just things in general were like, no, I'm not down. And so it would kind of like pick it up and put it back down like my whole life, up until really when I lived in Chicago and I was doing comedy after college. I was at Second City, and that's all improv. And there's a guy in one of my Second City classes, Andy Urschel, who is a 300 show type dude, and we would talk about Phish all the time. And I knew enough to chat with him about it, and I had to kind of basically like come out to him that I hadn't been to a show. Like, at some point I just had to be like, they were coming around or whatever, and he was just like, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be my first show. Or I maybe even lied to him. I think I maybe lied to him and told him I had been to a show because I was so embarrassed.
Wait, pause. And isn't that so funny? That's why I call this a cult, because it's like any other like situation with any other band's like fan base, like no one's gonna roast you about liking the same music as them, but then not seeing them live. Like they're just gonna be like stoked to get you there. But like here,
like
there's
a
like
Beyonce
this
fan is like, oh, I don't care if you've seen her live. You get it. Like,
yeah. No, that's just one of those things that's like so funny, because we're all so different, but we're all still like the same. Because
Yeah.
that's I would do that as well. Like if you're sitting here talking Phish with someone and they're like, oh yeah, I've never been, it's almost like,
Then why?
you're a virgin?
He
Oh,
wasn't even like mad. He was like, well, then why do you
What do you
know
do?
about it? Like, why do you even care about it?
Right,
Like, it's
right.
because it's fun and it's different, and it's improv, and I like improv and whatever. And so he brought me to that first show, and that it's like 10/26 18 or 10/28 18. It's the Friday show of the Chicago run in fall of 2018, and that show is just fucking unbelievable. And like, we had floor tickets, and there was like an issue for people who were at that show. They'll remember this. Like, there was an issue getting in where like there was a line out the door for like one door to get in this whole stadium to get onto the floor, and there was like a wristband issue. So a lot of people were standing outside when the show started, like a lot of floor people, and we were one of those people. So we walk in during like the third song of the show, and these two guys I'm with are fucking rattled, and I'm like pretty rattled,
Pissed.
but not that rattled. I'm like a little like
Pissed.
and we like walk into Reba. They're playing like a third or fourth song Reba in the show, and they're just like scoping for a spot and like looking and kind of still rattled, and I am like tearing up, bawling already. Like, as we're walking down the stairs, I'll like never forget it. We're like walking down the stairs. I was just like looking at the stage, looking at the band, being like, "Oh man, like I fucked up for so long, dude.
Yeah.
Like what was I doing? Like, just seeing
Missing
the image
out.
of the four guys on stage, like I'd seen in videos and everything, and they're bobbing their head, and I was just like, oh shit, man, like damn it,
Seeing it in real life, it
Damn it,
changes.
dude. Yeah.
It changes things. wait, so I want to go back. I want to reverse a little bit.
Yeah.
So you discovered them when you're like 10 or 11, kind of picked it up, put it down, you're still following them, but not, to the level of to where we're at now.
Yeah.
And then your first show you said was 2018 Chicago. What venue was it in?
That's Allstate Arena,
Allstate.
Rosemont.
Okay. And then you said it was 10, so it sounds like it was fall tour, right?
I think it's 1026.
10, 26,
It's
18.
either 1026 or 28. It's whatever that Friday show is. And like I said, they open with Punch You in the Eye, which
Okay.
is brutal because we were outside for that. So that would have been my first opener.
But
Which is, of course, like, that's the classic, like, your first Phish show, you get a Punch opener, and everyone around you is like, fucking, dude, I call this every single show. Like,
yeah.
I put this in my pick five every single show, and
Yeah,
of course you get it.
Punch or like Sample, like
Yeah,
those are
like
all like
what, dude? Like, and so
yeah.
they do a Reba in there. There's they play Mercury for like one of the first times, and I had no idea what it was, and it was fucking awesome. They did like a Moon Age Daydream right before the end of the first set. That was like got the crowd going, and yeah, I mean, there was a the other thing was like Tweezer was one of those first songs that I loved, and I know that like that's on the table, in the run right now. You can get a Tweezer. So they open second set with Tweezer, and I get like way too stoked. Like I'm like fucking like, dude, like lose it. And like I said, the dude that I'm with is like,
But like chill.
yeah, he's like 300 show guy. He's like, all right, like, and I'm like,
You're
what's
acting
wrong
like
with
it's a
Tweezer?
bust out.
I'm like, what's wrong with Tweezer? He's like, I've just seen like a billion Tweezers. I was like, okay, well, I fucking haven't, dude.
I
This is
haven't,
like,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was like, I've said it before. That was easily the first like jaded Phish fan moment that like really hooked. Like that is hilarious. Like watching his, it's like a huge song, and the crowd is cheering for it. It's not like the crowd doesn't care. Like, and he's just like, whatever, man.
But and dude, that's so funny because like there's parts like I feel like everyone that's into this scene and has been for a little while has had a moment like that to where they've like gotten super like into something and then someone's been like,
Dude.
it's so funny because it's like another thing about this community is like, oh yeah, we listen to the same music, but I do it better than you.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
don't. Yeah, you get it, but you don't get it.
Yeah, you don't get it as like I get it. You're not hearing what I'm hearing. But yeah, dude, that's hilarious. I'll never forget, dude, and I've talked about it on here before, but like the first time I discovered the Reba, the Lao Reba from like May 16th, 95.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first times where I was like I teared up during, hearing a jam, and I was like, dude, I was like, this is so fucking good. And I like immediately like I'm in a million group texts with like a bunch of different like Phish fans,
Yeah.
and reach out, and I was like, yo, you guys got to listen to this Reba. I was like, it's so good. And one of my buddies is like a jaded vet who he just said overrated. And I'm like
right.
sitting here like coming down off of like crying and like having like a spiritual moment. And he's like, overrated. You got to listen to this.
You had a mushroom trip in your car without taking anything, and and this guy's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that one sucks.
Yeah.
Not only is it not good, it sucks.
It
It's
sucks, dude.
It's so funny. Yeah, we're really like that. When
Yeah,
it comes to
yeah.
this
I
stuff.
listened to it better than you. Okay, so within the first show, I wanna talk about this because you said this was 2018. Were you in Chicago in 2014?
No. I'm graduating college in Milwaukee in 2014, and so
Okay.
yeah,
Because you had mentioned Second City, and
yeah.
I was at. You know about the Second City
I
thing
talk about this
happening?
show almost no one knows about this show, but to me, this is one of the craziest moments in Phish history because it crosses my world
Yeah. So
completely.
you,
And I know some of the people that were on that stage.
I
That
was
did
just
that.
about to ask,
Yeah,
dude, because I was there, and that was one of those shows to where like I'm usually like a back of the venue kind of guy, but for whatever reason, we like weaseled our way up to like kind of the front, and whenever that was happening, I was like, oh shit, dude. I was like, dude, Trey's calling this motherfucker out. I was like, this is crazy. I was
yeah.
like, am I high or is he being confrontational right now? And
Not
dude,
the
it
only
got
person.
like,
You
it
were
got
not the
like,
only person that thought that.
I felt like such a clown too, because like we were like, they were like deep into the bit to where I was like looking around and I was like, oh, this is a bit, dude. And then I was
Yeah.
like, damn it. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
God.
Yes.
But it was so cool. So you had mentioned you're part of Second City, and like that was like the first thing that popped into my head because I was there. That's why I wanted to know if you were there. I was like, holy shit, like were you one of the people that was like on stage? But like you sound like you know some of those people. What was their take on that?
Well, the story of it is insane, dude. Like, it is literally out of like my dreams. What happens to the Second City troupe that goes on stage with Phish. Um, Second City is a Chicago institution. I mean,
Hmm.
people come in all the time, and like especially for the main stage cast, like there are NBA players that come all the time. Like Steve Kerr comes every single time the Warriors are in town, or like Steve Martin always comes, or like Steve Carell always comes back because he was in the cast. Like there's always instances of celebrities being in the crowd at the Second City show. That's like one of the one places in Chicago you can see a
Right.
celebrity.
Yeah.
And like the Wednesday before that show, Gordo and Fishman went to Second City to watch the show, and it just so happened that Katie Rich, who she was a writer on SNL for a long time,
Oh.
and Chris Witowski, who he is one of my buddies. He's on The Bear, the show, The Bear,
Oh.
that's about
Yeah.
Chicago,
Yeah.
and he's in
Yes, chef.
Love. He's in the Yes Chef, exactly. Super funny guy. Those two within the cast are massive, massive Phish fans, and so they are freaking out, unlike any other celebrity that they've gotten and everybody else in the cast is like,
Wait,
who's Mike
who?
Gordon and John Fishman? I got no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have this great night with those guys. Those guys end up joining the cast that night on stage and like doing some sort of improv jam with the cast, which is like
That's
my
dope.
fucking my dream, dude. Are you kidding me? Like just that alone. And then
Yeah.
they end up going over to this bar across the street called the Old Town Ale House. That is a fucking Chicago classic, and they have this long night with Fishman, and they have so much fun that they're like, we're gonna invite you guys out to dinner tomorrow night, on Thursday. And so again, like Katie and Chris go out to dinner with Phish, like with Trey and Mike and everybody, and like at Second City, I don't know if you've got like an improv background at all. They teach the concept of yes and.
I know a
Which
yes and. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You just agree to whatever your partner's giving you, and then add to it, surprise them with something. And so Chris and Katie are kind of telling Phish about yes and Trey's like all fired up. He's like, "That's what we do. Like,
Yeah.
we do that to each other, and I do that to Paige, and Paige does that to me." And they're like, "Yeah, man, that's why we love you. Like, we're huge improv people. Like, you guys are the best improv team in the world. Like,
Right.
again, my dream to talk about improv with Trey and have him be all like fired
Excited.
up like
Yeah.
that." So he's like, "You guys will get your passes and come to the sound check tomorrow and come hang out and all that stuff." And Chris brings his buddy who's a huge Phish fan, and Katie goes, and they watch the sound check and they're hanging out, and Chris's buddy says to Trey, kind of pretty ballsily, "You guys haven't done Harpua in a long time." And Trey's like, "Yeah, because I hate telling the story. But
He said that.
I have an improv team that can do the story for me, like the right way." And Chris is like, "Yeah, I guess you do." He's like, "Can you get everyone down here and get them here and they can do the Harpua in the second set?" And Chris is like, "Yeah, yeah, we could do that." And he's not a famous actor yet. He's not on TV yet. That's a huge, huge, huge moment. And like Trey
Wait,
is
so
telling you, "Do you
I'm
want to
so
be a part
sorry.
of the show?"
Time out, time out. Are you
Yeah, yeah.
telling me that okay, and so Chris, I'm trying to place this. Chris is the on the bear, he's the husband of the woman that's in I want to make
Yeah.
sure I know who I'm talking about here.
The main
He's the husband?
character's sister. Yeah, the main
Sister, yeah.
character's sister. He's married to her, and he's like, He thinks
I
the
know.
main character is great. He's like kind of a cop. Like they're like kind of like don't
Yeah.
know how to act
Okay.
around him because he's corny.
I know
Um,
exactly who you're talking about now. And you're telling me that that's the dude that was on
yes,
stage? No
yes.
way.
And I think that I would say 99% of Phish fans have no idea that that's the case because they,
No way, dude.
yeah. I mean, because I've gone to shows with Chris at this point, and people definitely know him from the Bear and
Now,
recognize
right?
him and stop him, and he's also in those becoming your parents progressive commercials. He's like the
The
main
yeah.
dude in those. You know?
Holy shit, dude.
And he is a huge, lifelong 1.0 Phish fan. Saw a bunch of shows through the 90s. His sister, Carolyn, is also a massive Phish fan, and they are the best to go to a show with. They are fucking great people. And he got this dream opportunity to do this on stage. And
That's
I think
crazy.
some of the other people in the Second City troupe are like, I mean, whatever. I got no idea what this is. And show up at Northerly Island in front of 30,000 people and are like, what the fuck? Like, what? And they've got no idea what Poster Nutbag is or
They're
Jimmy
just
or any of this. Like, and it, when you watch it back, it is a little bit of a mess. They're like talking over each other. It's like 8 people trying to tell the story that Trey usually just tells by himself.
right.
And only 2 people know what the fuck is going on.
Which I feel like that makes it even better, right? Like, because if every single person in the cast knew like who Fish was, what the scene was like, what the whole thing was about, it would kind of be your brain would almost be like you'd have like a bias, you would like
Yeah.
be trying to steer it in a certain way, but with you being like fresh to it, not knowing what the fuck is going on with any of this, you get fresh organic ideas. It's cool.
I'm
Very
sure that
cool.
was part of the appeal. But yeah, I mean, that story to me is one of. I've talked about it on other podcasts too. It is just the craziest story of all time to me. To me, it's like a movie in my mind. Because I have been to Second City. I've seen when celebrities show up at shows, and I just always think about that moment of like, man, if like Fishman and Gordon walked in and they were like, "Do you guys mind if we sit in?" I would just be like, this lone dude, like, yeah, we have to do this, and everybody else is
Yeah,
like, I
dude.
got no idea.
It's like one of
Your
those
uncle?
things.
Who is this?
Who are these guys? I've always thought about like how I would act if I were to meet, you know, one of them, and I'm always like, yeah, I'd be cool. Just be like, hey man, yeah, I dig you guys, and your music, kind of changed my life and all that. But dude, I think that I would like play it cool like that, but I'd be like, I would fangirl out, dude. I would not be able to. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
crazy. And
yeah, that would be
that's
nice.
exactly what they don't want, like
Right.
you want nothing more than them to like think like, oh yeah, that was a cool interaction I had with that person. You're like, oh shit, Trey thought I was cool. Like he thought I was a normal person. I wouldn't be able to keep it together like that.
Of course, they'd love to know that they inspired you and everything, but like, what are they supposed to talk to every single,
It's like
about how much they inspired everybody? They're like,
I've
yeah, man.
never had that conversation with someone before. That was really
Nobody's ever
nice.
told me that. Really, man?
Really
You know what?
crazy.
We're done. Now that I know that I inspired at least one person, we can stop doing fish.
We've always wondered if we were reaching anyone.
No one's ever told us.
Dude, that's crazy. That's what a crazy story. And Chris, I'm pretty sure I follow him on Instagram. What was his last name again?
Wataski.
Wataski, right?
His
One of
Instagram's
those Polish.
Wow. I'm just plugging Chris hard on this episode. He is-
What up, Chris? That's
No, but
crazy,
he's like
dude.
the best guy. He like got me my agent in LA. Like he is the best fucking dude and a massive Phish fan. Great to go to a show with. Same with his sister Carolyn. Great to go with a show with. But he has this crazy story of getting on stage
That's
with
awesome,
Phish.
dude.
What was that like in the crowd? Were you like,
Dude, I was
were
kind
people
of
like,
my crew and like the people around us, like I said, we kind of felt like dummies, or at least I did. But like at the very beginning, for like the first like couple of minutes until like someone like got like on stage, everyone was like, "Holy shit, dude! Like this guy's a fucking asshole. Like he's like like Trey must be having a bad night because he's interacting with this dude and like he's kind of keeping it playful, but like he seems like he's like really kind of pissed. Like the show's
Yeah.
stopping, like kind of like what the fuck is going on? And then like I said, it was way too far into the bit before I realized that it was a bit. I was like,
Ah,
oh
shit.
shit. And I was like, dude, I was like, they planned this. And everyone around me at that point was like, yeah, no shit, dumbass. It's
Oh,
like
yeah. Oh, they're fucking with me.
yeah.
Damn
They're
it.
like, yeah, dude, there's fucking 5 people on stage and they're all fucking interacting with each other. Like, this is clearly like they've been on stage for 5 minutes and security hasn't pulled them off. Like, what do you think's happening?
They're wearing Britney mics.
Yeah, dude, that should have been the first like giveaway. And I was like, oh my god, dude, this is crazy. How long are they gonna let this go on?
Oh man.
Fucking dummy, dude. But okay, so I want to pivot a little bit here. We can stop talking about Chris in Second City.
Great
I
guess. You
would.
gotta get one.
Yeah, yeah. What's up, Chris? You'd be next. So I want to talk about your. Well, first off, how many shows have you been to at this point?
45.
45. Okay.
Yeah.
And you did the whole spring tour, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't do the second night in Seattle, but I did. Yeah, I did every stop on the tour. My
Nice.
buddy Sean and Meg, they just bought a house in Portland, and our whole friend group um, from all over the country was up in that area of the country, which is just never the case. And so we did we drove down early the night of the Seattle 2 show,
Okay.
and like did a proper housewarming thing for them, and then like woke up fresh in Portland the next day for that show. So I missed the one show on the tour, almost the full leg.
Almost. It counts.
Yeah,
We'll
it counts.
count it.
I'm counting.
Dude, that's so cool. I lived in Portland for 5 years, and I always wanted to see. I was like, dude, they should play the Moda Center. They should play the Moda Center.
Yeah, dude.
And dude, I saw that they were doing the Moda Center. I was like, dude, that is so dope. I wish I was there. Um, but okay, so you've seen 45 shows, did the most of the spring tour. Um, Out of all of the shows that you've seen, it doesn't have to be a show that you've witnessed personally, but what is your favorite? What is your favorite jam? Let me get back up here on the mic. I feel like I've done this before.
Oh man.
Favorite jam of all time? Like we're talking like Desert Island. You can take one jam with you to listen to, and that's all you can listen to.
Holy shit, dude. I mean, uh, of shows that I've seen, like it. First of all, I'm a guy that leaves a lot of shows, and I'm like, that's the best show I've ever seen. Or like,
Oh,
I'll walk out of the venue and be like, that second set was the best set of Phish I've ever seen. You know, like I am totally that fucking guy. But of shows that I've seen, like the jam that was the most incredible, I feel like had the most mystique behind it since the crowd was into it, the band was like truly improvising, was that 2019 Ruby Waves jam at Alpine Valley Sunday show. I mean, I think it's 7/14/2019. That is often what I bring up as my best show ever. I mean, it's like Iculus and Man Stepped Into Yesterday, and Open with Olivia's Pool, but there's they open the second set with Mercury and they cut it off like super quick, and then that Ruby Waves that follows is like 36 minutes, and it just takes on like 4 or 5 different segments that as they kept the jam going, and as they like move into some sort of different little segment, the crowd was cheering it on the whole time. It was just this crazy interaction, circular thing going on between Phish and the crowd that night. Like, I've seen it a little bit since. Like, there's a 46-minute tweezer from Berkeley in 2023 on the first night that jam gets really quiet, and then you can feel the crowd start like roaring as it gets a little more evil, and then it all cacophonies. But like that Ruby Waves jam in 2019, yeah, it was like super special to be there and watch the true interaction. Like, that's the most beautiful thing that happens at Phish, is the interaction between the band and the audience. And like, yeah, they just kept taking the suggestion from the crowd, like, fucking keep going, just
roll with it.
keep it.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. Yeah, we want it. And like, yeah, it was so sick. It was, like really a moment that like tattooed this band for me, and I listen to that jam all the time. But all time, it's hard to say that that's like the one. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's almost an impossible question because it is like the discography or not discography, but like the whole like from the early '90s all the way until now. There's so many shows and so many that we haven't even heard. Your favorite jam you may have not even heard before. We're just going off of like, oh yeah, word of mouth of like, oh yeah, these are the best jams of all time. You've got the
Yeah,
Halloween '94 Reba. You've got
that's what I was just gonna say
'95.
too.
Yeah, you got '95 New Year's Eve. Like you've got all these like noteworthy jams, but there might be something out there that's just a freaking monster that nobody's, I mean, not nobody, but that we haven't heard. It might be like, dude, that's my favorite jam. So it's impossible. But dude, the Ruby Waves, I mean, that I remember that happening. That I wasn't there, but I remember waking up the next day and being like, holy shit, that was like fucking 40 minutes long, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that whole show was like jaw on the floor, moments. It was like the truest Sunday show I'll ever see. Maybe I mean it was like the Sundayest fucking show of all time. But that Halloween '94 Reba, that one is I listen to that one a lot. Like that gets gone back to a ton, and that is like the Reba in my mind. Like that's like the one that they're all modeled after in my
Yeah.
brain. You know.
It's so funny because I'm thinking about speaking of the '94 Reba. That's the one. Whenever I was telling you earlier about the Lao Reba that I was so excited about, and my buddy was like overrated. He was like, "Listen to '94 Halloween." Like that's the one. I was like, "Dude, no shit. Like no shit. Like it's the best." But like
Yeah,
I'm talking
duh,
about
dude.
this one.
Talking
Yeah.
about this unsung one over here.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
know.
But dude, yeah, Ruby Waves. That was good. And dude, Alpine. It's like I mean, it's the fucking boom. Like you leave
Yeah,
there and your fucking calves are like you've got like the dad calf going on.
it is the Wisconsinest venue possible. And like the band has talked about how they're comfortable there, and Mike has talked about how he loves it there, and that place is a fucking classic. Like I mean, you pull up into a field parking lot, and there's not like some new wing brought to you by Verizon Wireless that's all glass or some shit. Like it is,
Yeah.
it looks like 1985 in there
For
still,
real.
and so yeah, it just sets up for like a really great outdoor Phish show anyway. But that one was really special. That show was amazing.
Monster. For sure. Another cool thing about Alpine is it's really easy to go to jail there.
Yeah, no problem. It,
Real
that
easy.
legitimately, Alpine Valley and the way that it works, prison wise and tickets wise and undercover cops wise, is the reason why we don't go see Phish right away at the end of the hiatus or at the end of the breakup. Like 2010, that Alpine run, me and my buddies are supposed to go. And I'm gonna convince my buddies now. We're all freshmen in high school or freshmen in college. I'm like, let's go, let's do this, let's take some mushrooms, let's like fucking have a good time, and I'll just take these first timers, and I'll be a first timer, and it'll be great. And then some guy that we know gets arrested selling mushrooms on the Friday show, and they're like, all like, we're not going. And I'm like, but we're not gonna sell mushrooms,
We're
dude.
just gonna eat them.
We're just gonna eat them, and
Yeah.
you know.
It
And it
is
took a lot
scary.
of gumption for us to finally go to a Alpine show. I think we saw like Jimmy Buffett or Dave or something for our first Alpine show. But even still now, if you go to Alpine Valley, you will see some John Cena looking motherfucker walking around with a tie dye shirt on, being like, "Hey friends, anyone got any rolling papers?" It's like,
Where's the Where's the Molly at? Who's got my
yeah,
Molly?
yeah. Hey guys, anyone have cocaine? Anyone want to go skiing or something like that?
Yeah.
It's like, look,
Who hitting the slopes today?
it's like, no, officer, we're
No,
not.
we're good.
I've
Yeah.
it happens. It has happened every time I've gone to Alpine Valley. I've run into an undercover cop. Like
Yeah.
it is true. It's not
It
a
it's
not
not
an
a yeah.
exaggeration.
I've been a couple times, and I was warned beforehand of like, hey, dude, like this isn't the place to be fucking around. Like, just
It's not
go, like,
lawless.
yeah, be. be a normal person there. So, yeah, if you've never been to Alpine Valley, this is your warning. Be a normal person when you go there.
What we always say now that we know and everything is that Phish rewards you for all that. They're like, you
Yeah.
drove out. I mean, because Alpine is like 45 minutes from anything, and like, so it's
Yeah.
like you drove out here, you parked super far away, you don't even know how you're going to get back to your hotel that's like technically in Illinois. You know,
Yeah.
and the cops were crazy, and there might even be some in the crowd right now watching you. But if you can lock that out, here's this amazing show. They always end up giving you like some A+ shows up there, and so
Yeah.
I
Definitely a
always now,
destination.
yeah, now that I don't live there anymore, I still fly back for the Alpine shows for sure.
Yeah, it's fun. You got to do at
Yeah,
least one.
got to do it.
What song would you like to hear Fish cover that they haven't covered? If you could pick any song, what do you think they would cover really well?
Oh man, oh shit, they do so many covers really really well, and they like make them their own. I know how big of a King Giz fan Trey is.
Yeah.
And so I'd really love to see them attack any sort of King Giz song, but especially something that is like a little more metal. Like they've talked about Interior People, and like there's that story with the guys from Eggy that Eggy plays Interior People, and Phish was maybe going to cover it, but they knew that Eggy did it, and that song is super cool. But yeah, I mean, like Trey is crazy inspired by that band, as anyone who is into them is, and so I would love to see like his take
On one
on
of
like
theirs.
a yeah. I mean, like just the other day, listening to Cities by like Talking Heads Studio Cities, and I'm like, man, like they have just taken this and made it completely a Phish song, and like I would love,
Yeah.
same thing with like Roses Are Free by Ween, like that is they have completely Fishified that version over 30 years now. Like I would love to see, I don't know whether it's like something softer like AstroTurf, or something a little harder like I mean they're probably not going to scream or anything. They're probably not going to
Fishman.
do
Fishman might.
but like if they hit a small segment of something really dark that's a King Giz song, I know the fan base loves when they get a little evil, and I think Giz does that in a way that is suitable for Phish. They will do metal shit, but they're like goofballs. They're like Labrador puppies, like,
Yeah.
and it'd be the same thing out of Phish. Like it'd be like this kind of goofy metal dark experience. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Yeah, that would be cool. I haven't gotten like I've tried because it seems like a lot of people whose music taste I admire or trust have been like, dude, Giz, like you gotta check them out. But and I don't know what it is. I feel like something within my ear, within my cool ear, is broken because every time that I try, I'm like, I just
All right.
instantly feel like an old person. I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It just sounds like fucking noise. I'm like,
It's like that episode of South Park when Randy is like, "No, I like it. Like he's like listening to Lord, and he's like, "No, I love it.
yeah,
No, it's
yeah.
great." And he
This
just
is my
hears like
shit,
shit sound.
dude.
I I think just like Phish, like it has to hit the right mood at the right time, and
Yeah,
it kind of comes together. Like I often will watch or like early on when I started getting into them, they have a Bonnaroo set from I think it's like 2022, and the beginning of that show, I'm like, look at this shit. Like this is like look at the
like good or
mayhem.
bad?
Good in a great
Good.
way. Like it's complete mayhem. The band is like ripping, and Stu, the lead singer, is on a flute. I'm like what is going on here? And I think that it's really hard to throw on like Giz radio or like a Giz playlist because they have legitimately like 10 different faces. Like they can be
Yeah,
all these different bands, and so you're listening to one thing that maybe you dig a little bit, and then the next song you're like, all right, not this at all. And
yeah, yeah.
they've got
It's
albums
it's
that I don't fuck with, but I think that they're onto something cool for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where whenever I look at it face value, it has all of the ingredients to where it's like that's why it confuses me so much because you put it all on paper and it's like I should like this band. Like
Yeah.
I love metal, like I love weird shit, like but every time that I've like thrown it on, there's been a couple of times off of, and like you said, they've got 800 albums already. But one of the metal albums with like the lizard on it, the King,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's
Yeah,
called,
the album's like Petro Dragonic Apocalypse Evil
Mars
Death
Fuck or some shit
fucking
like
yeah.
that.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But there's like that album, like having that on like in the gym or something, like is like just like a metal album. I was like, dude, this is fucking cool. But
Yeah.
then it starts getting like every time I like try to dive in to them, I'm like, okay, like this is
I don't know
it's
about
just too
this.
much. Yeah, I'm like, let me throw on the Halloween '94 Reba.
I mean, I brought my girlfriend is very open to lots of different types of music. She was not a Phish fan when we started dating, and she's like
Uh-huh.
totally down for Phish. So she is someone who is open to
Right.
different types of music. And I'm like, you're coming with me to this King Giz show. Like, you're gonna love it. And they might play some metal stuff, but like they play a bunch of different types of things. And we're in the Bay Area, so we're gonna get like a hippie psychedelic show, and they just come out like evil fucking.
She's like, nah.
This song called Superbug, which is just super heavy. She like looks at me. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry.
Maybe go get us a corn dog. Go get us a corn dog or something. Come back after
Let's
this
go get a
one.
lemonade.
Yeah. So out of it, you said 45 shows, right?
Yeah, 45 shows.
Okay, so out of the 45, have you seen? Do you have a song that you're chasing that you haven't gotten yet?
Yeah,
And
there's
what is
definitely
it?
still a few. I I've never seen Gaiuti. I would always
Okay.
love to hear a Gaiuti. And I've never seen Brother, and I feel like that's a big one, and that's a big '90s one. That's a huge bust out, and because because the shows are usually tied to like I'm seeing it with my brother, or my older brother got me into it. Like that is always on my mind, always on the table.
Dude, it's
A song
crazy
I
you
want to
said
hear.
that because that's the song I'm chasing too, brother. It's wild.
Yeah,
Me and my buddy Jackson. We've been chasing that one for a while, and
I would
I
love
don't
to
think,
hear the opening notes of Brother.
dude, I feel like that's one of those ones that would make me cry, not because of like the contents like of the song or anything like
Because
that,
of the throat thing,
J-
just bawling,
Yeah.
tears.
But just because it's like one of those things to where it's like you've made it this like rare Pokemon card that that
Yeah,
only 7 of them exist, and like you finally open up the pack and you get it, and you're like, oh my god, I finally got it,
yeah, dude.
dude.
Yes.
Yeah, brother for sure. And then Gaiuti, I feel like I don't know. I'm not the stat guy, but I feel like Gaiuti would be a pretty easy one to catch.
It's just
Maybe.
like one of those ones that like it's like once or twice a year, and
Yeah.
you can easily miss that. I don't know, like sometimes there are just songs that just escape people. Like I've got my buddy Connor has seen I think like 60 shows, and he just got his first Yem like last, and he's like I just don't know how that
Wrong
happened,
place for yeah.
And like my girlfriend Jess, who's only seen 8 or 9 shows, she's already seen 4 of them. So like it's that
Right.
one of it's like I
You
don't
can
know,
never.
but yeah,
I've always wondered, like, with the people that are like 300 shows in, what's that like super common song that they haven't gotten? Like,
yeah,
does it exist where there's someone that's like in the 300 counts that's like never seen a sample or some
yeah.
shit like that?
Just
Like
never
there's
saw
gotta be.
Feet or Hood or something. Just a
Just
little bit of a
missing
bust, I
like
think.
the wrong shows like throughout that whole thing. There's got to be someone out there like that. And I'm kind of curious because you said your girlfriend was not into fish until you guys met, and then you got her into fish. So you have some experience here. What song would you play, or did you play for her? Like if you were going to get someone into fish, like virgin ears, never heard of fish, and you're like, hey, come come over here, check this out. What are you playing for them?
I for the most part, you want to lean towards something that's like funky and that you know that no matter where the jam is going to go, it's like a super funky deal. I stuck with like Island Tour Cavern for a lot of people, and she is definitely, that is her first song for sure, is the Island Tour Cavern. The like Trey speech of like, if you want to go home,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can listen to the funk. Like that is such a sick era for Phish. They are so unbelievably funky and tight. And you can then kind of explore that show pretty well. I usually send people Island Tour, but it's different for everybody. Like I know, like my buddy Cody, who's like a big Billy Strings guy, and he thinks Phish sucks. Like I am just gonna put together. This kid likes to rip. He likes Panic. He wants to hear people fucking shredding, and so I will give him some '94 shit. Here's a llama from '94 that if you don't like this, I don't know what to fucking like,
That's about as ripping as it gets.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, but I wasn't going to show that to Jess. She'd have been like, all right, this is
Too
like
much.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, it depends on who it is that you're showing, because everybody has different tastes,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure. To get a little controversial here, what is what's a song that you would be okay with never hearing again? Because we all love Phish. It's all our favorite band. Like it's love, light, the whole thing. But I mean, if we're all being honest, like there's some songs that we don't like. There's some songs that we hate. So for you, what is a song that you would be okay with never hearing again?
Does Mike Gordon listen to the podcast, or
He might.
do you know that?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's gotta be. I don't know. He gets more bathroom breaks out of me than any other member of the band. I will say that.
Okay.
I don't know, like for sure. Like it's not like I don't hate 555. I fucking love that song. I don't hate Mole. I don't hate. I'm trying to think of a couple other Mike songs here, but like that. That is where I'm going to hit the bathroom. So it's really tough.
Anything that Mike's written.
Yeah, any contribution Mike has ever made to the band. Like I don't know, like I'm now in this like mode where I'm just thinking about times I go to the bathroom for some reason, and I've been trying to go to the bathroom during moments where people I know are not going to the bathroom. Like I've hit a couple bathroom stash bathrooms.
Oh,
recently.
dude, that's actually that's a pro move. Because like you pick a song that's, there's at least 5 to 6 minutes, 10 minutes of a composition before you get into any meat. That's
Yeah.
where you do it, because you've heard the composition once, you've heard it a million times. But
And also, like,
Yeah.
of course, when Trey walks up to the mic and is like, "When we were talking," and they hit a life beat,
everybody,
all the aisles are like filled with people. But that, that like they see that, and then that jam is usually fucking sweet. Like, there's a Life Beyond a Dream, I think, in Portland, that is like one of the best jams of the show. I'm sure people are gonna skip over it, whatever. Like I would, but
some meat in there.
they, just like that Ruby Waves that we talked about earlier, like they know when people are going to the bathroom, and they know that they're like, all right, well, let's just fuck with all these people and ruin their whole fucking show. Like it happened in Seattle night one of, there was a lot of old heads in Seattle that hadn't seen Phish in a long time that like don't want to hear the new songs, and so like they start playing What's Going Through Your Mind, which I fucking love that song, but aisles are filled with people going to the bathroom, and then the jam in that song is unbelievable. So it's hard for me to say that like I don't want to hear more, or I don't want to hear, like I make that joke or whatever, that I don't want to hear more, or like Life Beyond a Dream or something like that, but I get into those by the end of it. He's usually got me by
It's one of those
Unfortunately.
things where like with more or anything that's really new, and when I say new, I'm talking, anything from like Big Boat on or Joy on, album wise. It's like it's almost like we have our own, like being newbies into the Phish scene. We weren't going in the '90s or anything like that, but like we almost have our own version of like being jaded vets to where like they start playing like a soft new song or something off of Joy or something off of Big Boat, and we're like, oh, what the fuck. But
Yeah,
it's
dude.
like
Yes.
it's they do grow on you because now if you were to throw on more, um, even 2 years ago, I'd have been like,
Good. But now
yeah.
you've seen a more or two that were like, all right,
And I'm like,
that was
now I
fucking.
hear it, and I'm like, there's got to be something more than this. There
There
does,
must be.
there
By the
must
time he
be.
gets, by the time he gets to the trumpet call is sounding, I'm like, all right, I like it. Or
I'm
like
in.
they played "Don't Doubt Me" in Berkeley in 2023 to open a second set when I was just not, I was already not doing well. Like, had to go back and take a seat and get a water type thing. And they
Hmm.
started playing "Don't Doubt Me," and I was just like, what the fuck are we doing, guys? Like, this is. If I never hear this song again in my life, I will be so happy. And then they like literally later that year play it at Dick's, and I'm like, this is I fucking love this song.
Like
Like
I'm in.
they just they get me on stuff. I'm so deep in the cult, man. Like I'm so deep. Like even
It's
stuff
it's
I don't
hard.
like, I like.
It's hard. Yeah, that's the thing is it's hard to. I always try to like not dive in too deep because I don't want to be just like that stereotypical like everything the band does is fucking awesome and I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they can piss in our ears and I'm like, yes, it's great. I love it. I love everything.
Yes.
But dude, getting sucked like with something you love that much, it's hard to find that balance of like listening objectively, right? Of being
Yeah.
like, okay, is this really good or is this good because I love this band and they can do no wrong, right? So it's like trying to find that listen with a critical ear, It's like, do I love this or do I love this because I love Phish and everything that, Phish has given me over the past, however long I've been into this. So
Big
it's
time.
really it's hard to keep that critical ear, but I think you need that or you become one of those people who, like you were saying, I'm guilty of it too. Like every show that I leave, I'm like, that was the best show that they've played since they got back together. That was the best one. And then I go back and re-listen to it, and look at look at the set list, and there's fucking 40 songs. I'm like, I thought they had jammed
No.
something in there.
It's that mix of like the gratitude thing too. Like, I mean, for
Yeah.
me, I haven't seen 200 shows, and I didn't get to see him in the 90s, and so a lot of my time listening to Phish has just been like, man, I would love to go on tour with this band. I would have loved to tour in the 90s and see him like that, or and so then it's like anytime I get to see him at all, it's like I'm so grateful. Like I'm so like, oh man, we are so lucky that
Yeah.
like they are not some nostalgia bullshit act that just rolls out and plays the hood and a tweezer and is like, there you go,
Dude.
have a good night. Like they fucking rule, and their new music is great, and and so the rose colored glasses thing is, yeah, like you don't want to be like, oh man, that was amazing, everything's amazing, and this band's amazing, but there's so much like being grateful that they're still around in all that I still leave every show being like, those guys fucking, they're
Dude,
amazing, dude.
a
Like,
100%. And you nailed it like with the gratitude because it could be just like you said, some nostalgic tour act, money grab. They don't have to keep up with their chops, play the same, 15 songs that everybody loves and
yeah,
call it a day. But dude, they're so fucking dialed in and like care more than we do about it. Like it's like you can genuinely tell like they're not just doing this. Like they would do it for free. Like they would do it for free. I don't know if
oh
they would do it
yeah.
for free, but I feel like they would do it for free.
But Jay's the biggest Phish fan there is. I fully
Yeah.
believe that. Like, and he is so dedicated to this shit, and it makes you have to listen to the new shit. It makes you have to know
Yeah.
the new songs because you know that when they come around to tour again, like, they're like gonna jam one of these fucking things really hard, and you
Yeah.
got to know it.
And we're lucky, dude. We are lucky. We're so
Yeah.
lucky. Like just to even exist on planet Earth the same time that they do. It's
Yeah,
fucking
dude.
crazy. Yeah,
I was just
gratitude.
I assumed I would never see him, and they'd be this cool act from the '90s that I never got to see, and they've had now, almost 2 extra decades of fucking bonus, that
And
we've been able to be a part of. So
dude, and it's like I always get sad. I feel like I talk about this all the time too, because it's like just watching anyone get older. It's like, dude, they're in their fucking 60s now. It's like, fucking,
yeah,
how long is it gonna go? But then you look at Bob. you know, Bob Weir, he's, I mean, fucking 120, and he's still fucking doing his thing with
Yeah,
Johnny
dude.
Hammersticks. So
And
it's,
I saw David Gilmour from Pink Floyd recently. He's the lead guitarist of Pink Floyd. He is Bob's age, and just lived a different life than Bob, and is a little more like I'm playing the new music type thing.
uh-huh.
And we're big Pink Floyd fans, so I'm super down for it. And the show is just fucking. He's unbelievable, and seeing that show gave me a lot of hope for Phish because they are, probably 10 years younger than him or a little bit, maybe even a little bit more. And they've got that same dedication to making new music and being inspired in that way. And I think that's what, if you, maybe you don't like the new songs, maybe you don't want to hear some of these new songs, but that's what keeps the ones that you like fresh. That's
Yeah.
what keeps these new jams happening and Page playing with weird new equipment and, same with Mike. And yeah,
Yeah, dude.
yeah, super
And
cool.
they're all dialed in, and they're all healthy. Like that's another
Yeah.
thing to be grateful for. Like, and that's another thing that I feel like a lot of people gloss over is like we were like very close to like losing like our player one here. Like we were very, very close to that. Like, so yeah, a lot to be grateful for. It's wild, and it's one of those things to where it's like everyone in that's listening to this that's like into like the scene and like knows is like, yeah, 100%. And that's all that really matters is that like everybody's like on the same page and it's like grateful that we're getting to witness this happen in 2025. The dudes
Oh yeah.
started playing in fucking what, 84, 85, like like
Oh
started getting,
yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy, dude.
It
So
is
grateful.
nuts. Yeah, we're lucky, man. And it's not like even when I was talking about that 2019 show, like I'm not trying to compare it to anything that happened in 94 or 98 or 99 or any of these years that people hold super dear. I mean, it has to be a crazy relationship with the band if you've saw them when you were a kid in the 90s or in college when you're in the 90s and now you're an adult and you're taking your kid or whatever, man. Like that's a connection to the band that I won't understand for sure. And so if you don't like what's going through your mind, you can go to the bathroom, all good. But I'm just, like that's
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that like I try not to be too critical because I'm just like, man, they could not be around at all, and that would
Yeah.
be much worse. And so fuck yeah, we get a full spring tour, and I can still
Yeah,
do
dude.
that in 2025. It's so
Yeah.
sick.
And then like launch into a summer tour. Yeah. And it's like
Oh
one of
yeah.
those things like my buddies and I say like even the worst Fish show, like they're still the best band on the planet. Like if you go to the
Oh yeah.
worst Fish show and you get a greatest hits and they play 40 songs, like dude, you went and saw the best active live musicians on planet Earth. Like it's still a
Easily.
good show. Yeah,
Easily.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
it's it's amazing. Before we wrap, I always like to end on crazy stories from the road. Anything that you're comfortable with sharing. What's the craziest thing that you've seen at a show or on lot before the show or on the way to a show? What's the weirdest, craziest thing that you've seen or experienced?
Well, a lot of different crazy things. You know, the Midwest, like we talked about, does a good job of tamping down a lot of the crazy. The police presence in the Midwest, especially
Hmm.
like in Wisconsin, but also in Chicago, is usually pretty nuts. But I felt like, oh man, there's a couple different moments, but like specifically Berkeley. I've brought this weekend up a couple times. This is also one of my favorite Phish runs I ever saw. It was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the Greek Theater in Berkeley in 2023. Fucking sick run. And a pretty lawless situation considering that we're on Cal's campus. Like we're just like the scenario every day is that you had to line up on the sidewalk to get a spot. Like you don't have seats; it's all GA, and it's a tight little fucking 8,000 person venue. So everyone's lined up on the sidewalk all day,
It's
doing
that small?
nitrous. Dude,
8,000?
you got to look it up. It's like
That's
it is
crazy.
8,000 people. There's a cities that they played in 2010 when they played Berkeley. And there's a video of this online. It's on YouTube. I've probably watched this video 20,000 fucking times because it is just like You can look across the whole entire crowd and see everyone through the whole show. Like it
That's
is,
crazy.
and everyone's boogieing. It's super fucking cool. But for all 3 of those days, like I said, on a Monday, a Tuesday, Wednesday, on the campus of Cal Berkeley, a bunch of Phish wooks are lined up 2 miles long on a sidewalk in front of the venue, doing what we do,
Yeah.
doing what a lot of the people in our community do. A lot of
Being
balloons,
knuckleheads.
yeah, a lot of drugs out in the open, and
Hmm.
meanwhile, it's like the kid who's going to invent the next iPhone is like walking down this sidewalk like with his Cal Berkeley sweater on, like what the fuck is happening
Yeah.
around here? And specifically, yeah, we just thought that was like a crazy environment. And I remember during the first night, so Monday night, I saw someone coming through the floor with a tank, like a huge tank, not like
In the show?
in the venue. I'm saying in the venue, like a
That's
dental
crazy.
20-pounder in the venue walking by. And we were like, whatever. Like it was like Kyle and I looked at each other. We were like, whatever.
How?
Let's just let that pass. Then we see maybe a couple minutes later some old dude, probably like in his 60s, big old gut, big old tie dye, just having a ball. Clearly, he's away from the wife and the kids for the night, and he's having a ball. And he's just got this massive balloon, and he's like kind of like not with anybody. He's kind of in the middle of the people are like kind of trying to get out of his way because he's having the best time of his life. We're like, get the like move out of the way with your big balloon. And then we're walking out of the show, and I'm a guy who after a show, especially after a good one, I just sit where I was until like pretty much everyone has left the venue. Like
Oh, really?
I wait until security's like, you guys got to go. And we're like, yeah, I know. Like, just because I'm like, I'm like, just let me sit down for a second, and process
Process what
that.
happened. Yeah.
And in that sitting, we watch we watched this old guy walk by us, just limping as hard as he possibly, just dragging his
The
left
same
foot,
guy?
like same old guy with the tie dye, and we're like, that balloon did not go well for that guy.
Like,
he,
dude.
he didn't get another one.
Yeah.
He
One
was
and
having a
done,
really
baby.
good time. He was one and done. He was like, just had the look on his face of like, I got a balloon in the venue, ooh. And then he just fucking guaranteed at some point tripped over
Before and
someone.
after.
It was like a true before and after. Like it looked like he just got destroyed by the set of Phish.
Oh, he did. He did. Yeah.
Got
Yeah. He
annihilated.
he took a rip off that balloon and fucking who knows what happened, and then he just hurt himself. Too old.
We've joked about that, like, that the Nitrous Mafia is in the show selling balloons, but
Dude.
I saw it. It was crazy.
That's crazy. Like, how do you get that in? Like, you have to pay off somebody. Like, you have to like walk up to someone that's like running the gate and like hand them like $500 and be like,
Well, the other thing about the Greek, and maybe now it's changed, or I don't know, but like right up behind the venue is just dorms, and it's
"Oh,
just
no
kind of like a
shit."
hill and a chain link fence, and there are definitely like security guards sitting at certain parts of the chain link fence looking for people who are probably jumping the fence to get in, and those tickets, because it's 8,000 people or 8,500 or whatever it is, were pretty much unavailable, or like $500 to go to the show. And so
Yeah.
I am sure people snuck in, and I am sure some of those people, like you said, paid off one of those security guards in the back and be like, listen, I have to bring this in, and
The
here's
medical exemption. Yeah.
this is actually, I'm bringing this to the bar because they need it for whatever. Here's $100.
Yeah.
And
Right. I'm actually getting a root canal done in here. Just need to. They said bring your own nitrous. I'm just trying to do what they said. Yeah.
Just trying to get a guy anesthesia.
Yeah. Dude, Cam, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on and share your story. I appreciate you. I know it's early for you. I don't know why I thought you were East Coast like I am, but yeah, thanks for waking up early on a Saturday, knocking out an episode with me. It's been a pleasure to get to meet you and to hear your story. And I know we talked about it in the beginning, but real quick before we wrap up, plug your podcast. Where can people find you? What's the show about? And let people know where they can see you.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Thank you so much for having me on. This is super cool.
Yeah, dude.
I love talking about fish, man.
Me
So
too.
fun Saturday morning for me. But I'm doing best show ever right now. There's 2 episodes that come out every Tuesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, everywhere that you're listening to podcasts. But if you haven't heard of it yet, I try to interview fans and musicians and artists from our scene about like the first show they ever saw in their life, like ever, worst show they ever saw, honorable mentions, and then their best show ever. Hopefully, getting a little picture of who that person is. I feel like you learn a lot about a person by the types of shows that they've gone to in their life, and so
Absolutely.
yeah, we got some great episodes out for Fish people. I've got one with Brad Sands in this season. It's a pretty cool one. I've got in the first season I got one with Tom Marshall. Those are kind of like my main Fish people. But yeah, a lot of cool episodes. Check them out anywhere that you're listening to podcasts. You can find it. Best show ever with Cam Herdt.
There it is. There it is. Thanks again, Cam. Hang out. I'm going to stop the recording, but I want to talk to you.